Try this at home. Unless you can do that.
In the 2022 Scottish Open, we saw some of the best shots of the year so far, but with so many great shots being played, it's difficult to say which was the best shot of the entire tournament. So as usual, we're going to find out by taking the top 14 shots and recreating them as accurately as possible in the fewest possible attempts. But we're going to begin with Ronnie O'Sullivan, who's found himself in a little bit of difficulty here, snookered against Ben Wollaston. This snooker is so tough to escape from, Ronnie actually has to play it off 5 cushions. But he manages to escape from it perfectly, and after escaping from a few more snookers, he eventually goes on and wins the frame. I've always got a little bit of an advantage with snooker escapes, as I can see exactly what the player did. That said, I was still happy to get it after just one attempt.
Mark Selby's next, playing a very thin cut that actually looks similar to the one that Mark Allen played in the UK Championships, although possibly this one looks a little bit easier.
But it wasn't the pot I was finding challenging here, I just couldn't seem to set the balls up in the right place. Even though I tried a few different positions, when I potted the red I just couldn't get the cue ball to strike close enough to the corner pocket to get it to come back down the table in the right direction. Which is disappointing because it's quite a good shot, but it doesn't really matter because when we get to the end of the video, we're going to be choosing the winner from far better shots than this one.
Tournament winner Gary Wilson plays a great shot to remove the green from the cushion in his attempt to make a 100 break. Even though he doesn't end up making the 100, he still plays a great shot on this yellow to get the green out.
And of course I'm looking to do the same thing, and with this angle you just need to play this shot with topspin and punch it across the table to just enough to widen the angle for the green. Eventually I just about got it. It's a decent shot, but again I think we'll see better.
Even though this video doesn't contain any shots from Mark Williams, Tepchaiaranu tries to make up for it by playing 2 at once. He starts off with the rest shot over the blue and then continues it by playing an underarm shot on the green.
I'm going to attempt to play both of these shots, but I really don't fancy getting this one left-handed, but it's the yellow we're starting with. To play this type of shot, you need to put your hand underneath the rest in exactly the right place and push down on the back of it with your elbow. That actually keeps it fairly solid and secure. But bridging over the blue, the yellow's still a difficult shot in itself. I very nearly got it on my second attempt. I just put a little bit too much right hand side on the cue ball and cannoned the green. And it was the side spin that was making it awkward to judge from this difficult position. Eventually I got it, it went a bit too far but was still on the green. The question is, could I play the underarm shot left-handed? That's a definite no.
Liam Graham is next and he's finished on the wrong side. Wait, me neither. Liam Graham is an 18-year-old amateur snooker player and former Scottish under-16 national champion. Thanks, Internet.
Either way, he's trying to level the match up against Robbie Williams, and to do so he needs to get on this last red. After he plays the cue ball around 3 cushions off the black, he just about manages to finish in position. He then pots the red and the next black, but unfortunately goes in off in the middle pocket, losing the frame and eventually the match. I nearly got this shot on my first attempt, but just felt I went a little bit too high for the red. On my second I even cannoned the red, but just finished on the wrong side of it. I then overcompensated on my third attempt, cannoning the brown, and it wasn't until my fourth attempt where I managed to get the cue ball in a good position. This was a really good shot to get right at a difficult time in the match. It's a pity it didn't help Liam out, but I'm sure we'll hear more from him in the future. Ronnie O'Sullivan's using a lot of topspin to hold for the black here, and not only does he get perfectly in position on this really difficult challenging shot, but he actually goes on to make one of the fastest 100 breaks anybody's ever seen. The trick with this shot is to use exactly the right amount of topspin to make the cue ball arc onto the top cushion at exactly the right time. And even if I did hit it a little bit hard, I was pretty happy to get it so quickly.
Next, Judd Trump's seen a play to the pack, but he's in such a difficult position on the bolt cushion here, it's not exactly easy to get to, and he manages to pot it by using the side cushion.
With the plant being on like this, it's mostly just a relatively accurate snooker escape. That said, I was finding it difficult to get exactly the right angle off the side cushion. To start off with, I was striking the cushion slightly too low, and then I started going slightly too high a few shots later. I just couldn't find the right place, and eventually when I did pot it, I hit the reds way too thin and ended up out of position on the black. This one was actually a lot harder than I was expecting, so could be a contender for the win later on.
Joe Yulong's next, and he's removing a red from the black while potting a really difficult and challenging long red.
The pot itself isn't straightforward, but again isn't too tough. It's the cannon that's a challenging element of this shot. You need to stun the cue ball across the table perfectly to get a good cannon. There's a few ways you can hit the red and black, like I did on my second attempt, where you just won't end up in position. The main problem I was having with this one is I just kept putting a tracer right hand side on the cue ball, and that meant the cue ball kept jumping a little bit too wide and meant I was cannoning the black rather than both balls at the same time. This one's about as hard as anything I try in this entire video, and I was happy to just about get it in the end.
Joe O'Connor's got a bit of a problem. He's very straight on the last red and he needs to take blue or better in order to win the frame against Neil Robertson. Not only does he manage to pot the red here and screw the cue ball out for the blue, but he also manages to clear up and eventually win the match.
The amount of backspin, sidespin and the sheer pace you need to play the shot at make it incredibly difficult to pot the red down the cushion. I was delighted to get it on my third attempt and couldn't believe where I ended up.
It's too easy.
Ben Wollaston's got Ronnie O'Sullivan snookered once again here, but not only does he manage to swerve around the small gap between the brown and black, he even manages to pot the red and finish in perfect position on the pink. This shot needs a small amount of side spin to swerve around the brown and get through the gap. I was really pleased to pot this on my first attempt and even cannon the pink into pretty much perfect position.
You could argue the most exciting part of the Judd Trump-Jamie Clark match was this kid who wouldn't stop waving at the camera in the background. That is until Jamie Clark doubled the frame-winning pink, that there is no way on this earth he actually played.
I think he was trying to play the pink to the side cushion and just overhit it, because there's no way you'd play this at that pace with the black in the position that it is. It's close to being a double kiss, but not quite, so all I've really got to do here is find the correct angle. I was close on my first attempt, but couldn't avoid the double kiss on my second. My third attempt went straight towards the corner pocket, and I was pretty happy to get a double like this in just 3 attempts.
Mark Selby, on the other hand, definitely did play the double on this black as the frame was already over, and it's a nice shot, so let's have a go at it.
Again, all you have to do with this one is get the angle right, and it's closer to the object ball than the previous shot, so I should be able to hit the black exactly where I want to. I've just got to get the right place to get the double. I was pretty close on my first 2 attempts and eventually got it on my third, and you can probably now see why we included the previous shot, as we can ask which is this week's cheekiest double. Cue the music.
To be fair, Mark Selby had a good go at it this week, but he's still some way off the king of cheeky doubles and this week's winner, Jamie Clark. We've got another Gary Wilson shot after we find Jim, who's from Newcastle in Australia. Hang on a minute. Which is there.
This Gary Wilson shot may just be a really good pot, but it is a really good pot, with a tough length of the table shot that's close to the side cushion. I was actually a little bit disappointed with my first few attempts as I couldn't get anywhere near this one. I kept hitting the red far too far on the right hand side. It took me a few attempts to get anywhere near the pocket, but on my fourth attempt it went right in the middle, and I more or less recreated the shot perfectly.
Tepchaiya Anoon with this opening red in the deciding frame in a classic win over Judd Trump.
This is another shot that didn't really go anywhere, but this time, as I said, Tepchaiya did eventually go on to win the frame, right at the end on the black. It's an awkward shot to get right, so I was pretty happy to get this on my first attempt.
Really difficult to decide the winners this week, but I'm giving third place to Tepchaiya Anoon. I know this is just an exhibition shot, but it was such a difficult shot and it's so well executed. Second place goes to Joe O'Connor, as this is such a crucial shot in winning the match against Neil Robertson. But first place goes to Judd Trump, as it was just such a ridiculous shot to attempt, and it was nowhere near as straightforward as I thought it would be.
I wanted to include shots from Ronnie and Zhou Yulong in the top 3, but eventually you have to pick a winner. Either way, if you want to see more of me recreating shots, have a look at these 2 videos. And remember, don't just watch, play, and make the commitment to becoming a better player by subscribing to the channel and visit the website. See you later.